Welcome to 180 Online. I've told this story before, but it's just necessary to say it again. In the year 112 AD, there was a guy named Pliny the Younger. Not to be confused with Pliny the Elder, or if you know what I'm talking about, but Pliny the Younger. And he was the new governor of a province in what's now modern day Turkey. And he had seen this group of Christians and the disruption that they were causing and the chaos that ensued because of the things that they were doing. And so he'd written a letter to the Emperor of Rome asking for kind of mentorship and asking for advice and asking what to do with these crazy followers of Jesus at the time. And so he went out and surveyed the land, and he observed many of the Christians that were out there and around at the time. And he came back to pretty much 4, maybe 5 conclusions about those Christian people. They were small in number. There's like 50,000 Christians in the whole time they estimated, but they made a monumental impact. And what he discovered was that they were an economic nuisance because they didn't adhere to the pagan temples, the temple gods, or a lot of the customs of the day that brought in a lot of the revenue streams that were heavily relied upon. And they said no to those things, which were kind of an economic nuisance to the country. Meant they didn't buy the livestock for the sacrifices or any of that stuff, or the temple merchandise. So it threw them into an economic upheaval. They seemed to be their own political party, which is one of the things. They didn't adhere to the politics of the day, and they organized events that many people attended because of their love and felt a sense of belonging that they experienced at these events. They cared for the sick. They looked after orphans and widows. They gave to the poor, buried their dead. This made their following spread like wildfire. And get this. This is what I love. Outside of our context, but they elevated women to positions of leadership like had never been seen before at that time period. And so to him, it looked like they were kind of forming this grassroots political party of their own. And so he observed that. The third thing he observed was that they followed an unthinkable, strict moral code. He observed that their beds were off limits to pretty much everybody but their spouse, but their tables were open to everyone. In general, he captured and tortured several of these early Christians just to kind of get them to confess and see what it was that they were driven by to such high moral standards, to try to learn about them. He noticed that they got up really early to worship Jesus through song and prayer and various things, that their devotion seemed to be insane. And the fourth thing he noticed was that they ate meals together all of the time. Get this, in this day and this time, they were calling it their meals the love feast, and they would have communion oftentimes in the morning and then rejoin back in the evenings for meals. That to the outside observer, specifically Pliny the Younger, just seemed to be absurd that they ate together and shared so much time together, fellowship together as a community, and seemed to really care about one another. And the news of Jesus, despite pandemics, despite hardship, despite persecution, despite it all, just continued to throw all of the entire Roman Empire into upheaval and crazy. And I found it really fascinating to read about Pliny the Younger and his observations, which kind of leads me to this. And leads me to think, like, if people were to make observations based on you and based on me, if you're a follower of Jesus, if people in South San Diego or just San Diego County in general were to make observations of the followers of Jesus, of the church, what do you think that their observations would conclude? What do you think that they would come to? I mean, would they see us as judgmental, or would they see us as loving? Would they see us as hypocritical or people of integrity? Would they see us as mean-spirited, or would they see us as kind and loving? Would they see us as stingy, or would they see us as generous? Would they see us as irrelevant, or would they see us as compelling? Would they see us as fractured, which is where we're going today? Or would they see us as unified, as a whole? And I want you to close your eyes with me for a second, and I want you to dream, okay? What if what if we could be a part of a movement like the one that I just described that Pliny the Younger observed and witnessed? What if we could be a part of, what if we could be a part of a movement like that just was so compelling, that was so attractive, that created such a sense of belonging and community, and literally changed the face of the Roman Empire? What if we could be a part of something like that? Imagine the sense of belonging that each person would feel. Imagine the hope that would flood into people's lives on a consistent basis. Imagine the restoration of broken things being fixed in our lives and the lives of those that rub shoulders with us and that surround us. Imagine the sense of purpose and fulfillment that we and those around us would begin to feel. And that where I'm going today and the direction I'm wanting to go today is that according to Jesus in His Word, this is the standard for a group of people that claim to follow Him. So to answer the question that I've already thrown out, like what would people observe? What if we could be a part of something like this? It's not only possible, but it's part of what Jesus commanded. It's part of what Jesus ushered in through His movement, and it's where we want to go today as we talk about our third core value in our series, Roots as a Church. See, we're in a series called Roots, and we're in our third week, and what we're looking at is the core values of Church 180, and we're saying, hey, much like the health of a plant or a person, it's in the root system that creates that health of a plant. It's in the root system that creates that health of a person, and it's in the root system of a church that creates that health. So for 4 weeks, we're on week 3, we want to talk about our core values, and today the value that I want to bring forth is one that is very important, and we call it turn toward unity. We're a team. See, I had looked through my notes, kind of talking about this from the past, and I think at one point I wrote, turn towards unity, we're better together. And I settled on the fact that our core values were a team, but the reality is you could exchange them with either or terminology, because we are better together. And see, and what I've tried to continue to share week after week after week over the last couple of months is that our hope, we say at church when we turn toward hope, and our hope is found in the power of Jesus working through the strength of our relationships. So our hope is found in the power of Jesus working through the strength of our relationships. We are a team, and we are better together. It's the way that it was designed to be. So what I want to do for the next couple minutes is I want to look at 3 key passages to this value, to our church, and then I want to make 3 key observations and points based on those, and then I want to leave you with one challenge if you're tuning in with us today. For the first one I want to play, I just want to say a couple names of some businesses, and I want you to just think about or say out loud, if you're watching your phone or TV or whatever, what these businesses are known for. So the first business I want to bring up is Chick-fil-A. When you think about Chick-fil-A, what do you think Chick-fil-A is known for? I don't know what comes to mind, whether you're thinking like, well, my pleasure, or great customer service, or whether you're thinking like me and you're just like, oh, Christian chicken. But Chick-fil-A is known for Christian chicken. It just is. If I move on to another business, let's talk about Big Five for a second. Like, what is Big Five known for? Sporting goods, right? Sporting goods is what it is. What is Subway known for? The deli sandwich. What about Starbucks? Okay, what's Starbucks known for? Well, a lot of things now, but it originally was coffee, right? And now it's like coffee any way you like it. You want like 39 pumps of whatever with this thing. If I say Bank of America, what is Bank of America known for? They're known for getting bailed at, known for banking and everything. So you get what I'm trying to say. And I want to read this passage with you with that frame of mind, that context in mind. John chapter 13, verse 34 and 35, which says this: a new command I give you, Jesus talking to his disciples, a new command that I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so that you may love one another. And by this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Jesus is saying, this is what I want you to be known for. if you have crossed the line to follow Jesus, you are now on his team, and you are to love one another. And you are not only to do that, like this is not only a command, but this is how people will know that we follow Jesus, if we are unified and if we love one another. And I said it this way, number one point, that's the first passage, John 13, 34, 35. The first point is this: followers of Jesus are to be known for unity. Followers of Jesus are to be known for unity. See, this is complex, it's difficult, yet it's really simple, and it's commanded. And it's not easy, but it's simple. It's not easy, but it's clear. It's not easy, but it's what we were commanded to do. For the second one, I've talked about this one a ton, and I'll just kind of go over this for the second passage, second point. But John chapter 17, and it's Jesus praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, hours before he would be murdered and crucified on the cross. And he said this to in prayer, in anxiety. He says, "My prayer is not for them alone. I pray for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. I have given them the glory that you gave me, that they may be one as we are one, I and them and you and me, so that they may be brought together and to complete unity." And then this last, don't miss this last thing. He says, then, once the unity's there, then the world will know that you sent me and have loved them, even as you have loved me. See, the second point is this: there is, make no mistakes about it, there is a direct connection to our unity and people turning toward hope in Jesus. People's turning toward hope in Jesus, people's eternity, people's connection and relationship with the living God hangs in the balance of whether or not you and I can become unified as a church and love one another as a church and care for one another as a church. Notice he didn't say once we can explain how dinosaurs came to be. Notice he didn't say once you get smart enough, then the people around you will believe. Once you get sexy enough, or once you get whatever enough, then the people around you will believe. He says, no, the people around you will come to saving faith and will come to turn toward hope whenever we become one and are unified and brought together in complete unity. Then people will come to that faith. And you can't miss that. So there's a direct connection to our unity and people turning toward hope in Jesus. And for the last point in the last passage that I want to look at today, it's where we're going. It's where we're going. And so Acts chapter 2 verse 42 through 47, it says this: they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer, and everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. And all the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold their property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts, and they broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. And see, you might have heard this passage before if you've been around church. It's very famous, talking about whenever Jesus had died and risen from the dead and appeared to a bunch of people, and then the Holy Spirit came upon, His Spirit came upon a lot of the early believers, and Peter got up and started speaking and preaching, and 3,000 people gave their lives over to Jesus and put their faith and trust and belief in Him. And as a result, they started to become the early church. And these 4 short verses are describing the rhythm of the rhythm of their life in the church. And I want you to notice that it says this. It says in verse 42, they devoted themselves to teaching, to fellowship, to the breaking of bread. That's the first time they the writer here, Luke, that he mentions the breaking of bread. And yeah, we can look at that as like, a cracker and a juice, like we're about to do for communion in a little bit, but really, like, what he's talking about is a little bit more holistic, and in the fact that they shared a lot of meals together. You get that in verse 42, and then you get to verse 46, and it says, every day they continue to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes. Once again, they talking about eating together in their homes, and they ate together, referencing 3 times in these 4 short verses the importance of coming together for a common and shared meal. Remember, we already pointed back to that in what the Pliny the Younger had observed in modern day Turkey about this group of Christians. He's like, man, they eat this love feast, they eat this dinner together all the time. They're just constantly in each other's lives and in unity and stuff. And I was kind of thinking about it this week, and then I was watching a message by a guy named John Mark Comer, who you've heard me talk about before, in Portland, Oregon, and he was explaining how whenever it came to the first century and that the center of the church, the stage of the church, that the church was in homes in the first century. It was illegal to be a Christian. They didn't go to these big gatherings and out in public, but the center of the faith was in homes, and the stage of faith was in homes, and the center of the faith was around a table and eating together. That this is how it all began. This is how it all became to be. And then over time, as we get into the 4th century, and as Christianity not only become legal, but it became kind of a state faith and state religion. At the time, we see that these big, beautiful cathedrals were built, and the center of the faith and the center of the life of the church was the altar, and coming to the altar, in these basilicas and these big, beautiful buildings that had been built, the cathedrals and everything. And then over time, century after century after century, and we get to the United States, and we see these colonial buildings, and basically these box buildings that were set up for a group of people from town to come to, and in the center of these colonial buildings was the pulpit, and the pulpit became the center of the faith, where people would come from the surrounding area, and they would come to watch somebody preach from behind a pulpit, and it became the centerpiece of the faith. And now moving into the 60s and 70s, in the United States, and how we've, got air conditioning and big buildings and big parking lots and whatever, and even almost so much of our culture has moved from, along with the church, has moved to a theater style of church, where the center of the church is the stage, and what kind of performance is going to be going on up there, and we got the speaker that comes, but then we got these elements, and it's about the stage at the time. And I'm not trying to knock any of that. I'm not trying to say that we didn't need to make advancements, and that we didn't need to contextualize to the way that people observe, and the way that people respond, and the way that people are informed. However, what we can't miss is that the very essence of the beginning of our faith, the center point was around a table. And it was around people coming together in fellowship and sharing a meal together and eating and drinking. And in that very act, that friendships were forged, that relationships happened, that people found unity and found the strength and found the ability through the strength of those relationships to live out their faith in such a profound way. Our hope is found in the power of Jesus working through the strength of our relationships, and the strength of our relationships can be strengthened, I would argue, maybe the most around a table, sharing food together. And see, the original architecture of the church is a table in a home, which says a lot about the core of our faith. And central to following Jesus is eating and drinking with others, followers of Jesus, and doing life together as a family. So the point 3 is this, is there is no unity without community. There is no unity without community. See, there's something about a meal. There's something about eating together that creates community. And we're talking about turning towards unity. We're a team, and really there just is no unity without community. So I want to kind of leave you with a challenge today. And I don't know where you're at on the COVID spectrum, and I want to be very, I don't know where you're at with it, and I want to be respectful to where you're at on the COVID spectrum. But what we're going to try to roll out over the coming days and weeks is we want to challenge you. We've been, as a team behind the scenes, we've been debating so much about this name, and I'm going to try to clear the mud a little bit, but we are going to challenge you to sign up for what we're going to call potluck parties. Unite with a bite. That's our tagline. Unite with a bite. And so potluck parties, unite with a bite. And we don't completely know what this is going to look like. But as we don't roll out traditional like small groups this fall, we do want to roll out some feeding or eating groups, and so we're going to call them potluck parties, and they may be revolving around a little bit. And so we'll put the Connect card online for you to fill out or sign up for one of these stuff. You can go to our website, church180sd.com, and you can sign up for potluck parties for now. And so basically what we want to do is we just want to get people together from our church in random groups that may be like a continuing group for like 2 or 3 times or whatever, or may just be you try different ones and stuff like that. But we want to just get some people eating together. And so I know we got some hosts that want to do like barbecue at the beach and have that, and then you can sign up for that and then go to the beach on that day. And don't bail, don't cancel last minute, but to go to the beach that day and to just eat with some people. We got some people I think that want to do some in like Cesar Solis Park. And then I know we got some people who want to open up their backyards and open up their homes and open up places so that people within Church 180 can just get together and share a meal together, and over a meal that as a church we can live out this core value of turning towards unity and being a team and understanding that there just is no unity without community. So what we want to do is we want to build that community. So we want you to sign up to be a part of a potluck party. And in doing so, we're going to get organized as we go. Probably not going to roll it out for a few weeks. But right now, this week, what we need to know is if you are interested so we can start to organize this. And I need you to indicate one of 2 things, or both things, whatever. Number 1 is, are you interested in being a part of these potluck parties? And I would challenge you to do so, because it's hard to have unity without community. And so, are you interested in being a part of one of these potluck parties? And then number 2 is, are you interested in potentially hosting one of these potluck parties? And hosting doesn't mean it's got to be at your house. Hosting just means you got to, call up the people that we send your way or that come your way, and get that thing organized. And maybe be a part of the main and have people bring sides, or maybe it is opening your house. I don't know. There's all kinds of different ways to host. I hope I'm making it somewhat clear. But potluck parties, we want you to be interested, and we need some people to really take the leadership and reins and host some of these. So I want to leave that with you. You should go to our website and click on potluck parties and let us know that you want to be a part of that, because we would love for you to be a part of that, because there is no unity without community. Jesus prayed that we become one, and there's no better way to become one than to share a meal together. So I hope that you'll do that. Man, and speaking of sharing a meal, and speaking of breaking bread and everything, we're going to move into a time of communion for this next song. And communion is just where we remember what Jesus told us to do. And a lot of times this act of communion was taken with a meal. And there'd be a little wine, and there'd be a little bread to symbolize the body of Jesus that was broken and the blood of Jesus that was spilled out. I just ask that you would, this time, if you want to join us, would grab some food and grab some drink and remember the body of Jesus and the blood of Jesus, and so that we could be forgiven. And so, man, I hope you'll join us at potluck parties so we can eat together. I hope you'll remember at this time the reason that we have this hope is through this act that we celebrate in communion. And so I'm going to pray for that, and we're going to move into that time right now. Jesus, thank you. Thank you that you showed us how to have real community, that on this planet you walked, talked, ate, and drank. God, that whenever you came into the world, it was said about you that you were a drunkard and a glutton because of how much you ate and drank with other people. And may that not be said about us, I guess, Lord, but may we be people who are unified and living in community, and may we be people who Lord, just are so grateful for the hope that we have in you through you giving up your life. And may we celebrate that right now through this time of communion and through this song. It's in your name we pray, Jesus.
tried so hard to see it. It took me so long to believe it, that you choose someone like me to carry your victory. Perfection could never earn it. Give what we don't deserve, and you take the broken things and raise him to glory. Yeah. You are my champion. Giants fall when you stand undefeated. Every battle you've won. I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I am seated in the heavenly place, undefeated, with the one who has conquered it all. Now I can finally see it. You're teaching me how to receive it, to let all the striving cease. Oh, this is my victory. You are my champion. Giants fall when you stand undefeated. Every battle you've won. I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I am seated in the heavenly place, undefeated, with the one who has conquered it all. And when I lift my voice and shout, every wall comes crashing down. I have the authority that Jesus has given me. When I open up my mouth, miracles start breaking out. I have the authority Jesus has given